went through about 150 players in a couple of seasons. It was really bad. And the Supporters Trust at one point had to step in and pay the wages.
They were struggling for cash, they were struggling as a team, because when you haven't got your own home, you've got no income bar gate money.
If anything, it lacked a little bit of direction, and I just felt that I could perhaps help to introduce a few ideas that would raise a bit of money and get the club going again.
Slough Town Football Club play in the National League South, the 6th tier of English football. It's the first time they've been back near this level for 20 years. In 1973, the club moved into Wexham Park Stadium, which saw them reach the conference for the first time in the 89-90 season. In the 92-93 season, Slough played Wycombe Wanderers in a vital clash which would see the winners gain the upper hand for promotion from the conference.
Goes all the way through to Paul Hyde in the Wycombe goal. Carroll's found Langford once more. Now this is Thompson trying to tease the Slough defence. He found Carroll. Can Carroll get the cross in? Scott's there. Goalkeeper saved it. No, it's there. And Wycombe have taken the lead. And Keith Scott is the man who's done it. With 27 minutes gone, Keith Scott, the man who makes a habit of scoring important goals. Well, that one might be so important here for Wycombe. It's a free kick once more to Slough. There can't be long to go now. There's nothing left. And Wycombe Wanderers have won this match. And what an important victory that could be.
The Wycombe side, managed by a young Martin O'Neill, went on to achieve promotion, with Slough missing out. The following season saw Slough relegated, only for them to immediately bounce back and play 3 more seasons of conference football. The 97-98 season saw Slough controversially kicked out of the conference due to a lack of seats, and just 5 years later they were kicked out of Wexham Park altogether. This marked the start of a 13-year period of Slough being homeless. To understand why, I spoke to a long-time fan, Eddie. How long have you supported Slough, and what's your first memory of supporting Slough?
40 years, but I came to Slough when I was just finished in the RAF, and I watched Minehead because my dad comes from Minehead, and I watched Minehead against Slough in the FA Cup, which was probably 1977, and then actually moved to Slough in 1979 and then supported Slough. From then on, just wanted a local team, and they were my local team, and that was it.
Do you understand what happened fully with moving from Wexham Park? Do you know exactly what happened?
Well, the owner died or had a very serious illness, and his son took over Wexham Park, and he wasn't interested in football. So he just basically kicked them out, I think, because they got kicked out of the conference due to a lack of 50 seats or something like that. And then, had the ground share. Very sad time, really. It's, we moved to Windsor and Beaconsfield. 13 years was a long time. And obviously they were struggling for cash, they were struggling as a team, because when you haven't got your own home, you've got no income bar gate money. That's it, so it was a very tough time. You go a season when you're probably got 70 players playing for you. Players are coming in and out and going, and they get better offers elsewhere, and it's a very tough time because if you haven't got a settled team, you generally struggle in football. So, it was tough.
Despite these testing times, Slough survived. And with results not going well on the pitch, the fans took the well-being of the club into their own hands by forming the Slough Town Supporters Trust.
The role of the trust has changed over the years. It's been around for a long time, but in various different formats. The current trust version has been around since about 2003, which is around the time we left Wexham Park. But the main aim of a trust is to be able to take over the club should it encounter financial difficulty and help to run it. But as we progress and as football has developed, that is less possible now because the money is just too great. So we sort of changed our image to become a community arm of the club rather than someone who's there to step in should things go horribly wrong. So what we do is we split into several areas. So we either provide direct financial support to the club, we attend events or organise events for the benefit of the club, so promotion events, or we do things in the community like sponsor sets of kit for schools with our name on, which then promotes the club in that way. It gets the Slough Town name out there through either being directly the trust's work or through using the trust's name to promote the club. So the sponsor walk is tradition going back many years. It was traditionally for the last away game of the season, but that's become less possible now that we're playing football at a higher level. The games are getting further away. So the last few years have been walking to home games. So we walked to the last game at Beaconsfield, and we've walked to a couple of games here by various routes. And then this year we decided to take it back to its original idea of walking to an away game, but the last away game this year was Truro. So we thought that's not going to happen in a million years. One of our walkers did Dorchester a few years ago, which was 120 miles, and we thought that would take it too far. So we brought it back in a bit and reined it in. So you get more people if you do less miles. So if you do between sort of 10 and 20 miles, you probably get more people and more money, hopefully, out of it. So this year the decision was taken to walk to Woking, which is 18 miles, and the money gets split between the trust and a local charity. So a couple of years ago we did a dementia-friendly room at Wexham Park Hospital. Last year we did Berkshire Vision. This year we did the Slough Pit Stop Project, which is a branch of Haybrook College, and it's a sort of practical skills school for car mechanics, catering, and sort of woodwork, bricklaying, manual labour jobs, for teaching some of the most vulnerable students across the local area, quite a wide local area actually, giving these students a different education so they do actually get one.
But every club needs a chairman. Slough needed someone to come in and stabilise the club. And that's exactly what they got when Steve Easterbrook stepped in.
We were picking new players every week. We went through about 150 players in a couple of seasons. It was really bad. And the Supporters Trust at one point had to step in and pay the wages. It had got quite bad, and we got relegated twice, reprieved on the second one. And Steve came along when we were at Beaconsfield. It was about 10 or 12 years ago, I think, something like that. And he sort of set up this new vision for the club to make it entirely sustainable. Steve's impact cannot be overstated, because while all that was going on, he was also spent 10 years negotiating with the council about Arbor Park, and he continues to be negotiating with them to this day about all kinds of little details to do with the running of the club, the running of the facility, the match day experience, all the things that we need to make our lives easier. And then on top of that, he's in there at the moment. I think he was helping set up the bar, he's going to be down there in a bit, checking the other bar, making sure it's all ready to go, and then during the game, so that I get to watch the game, he mans the bar. And I can't speak highly enough of the man, because he does care so much about the club and its volunteers, and he really wants to help. You get stuck in. I've heard stories of him being in the toilets cleaning up vomit off the floor. You don't get many chairmen who will do that. So he will do any job that needs doing. He's there. In fact, he's probably the least chairman-like chairman I think you don't ever come across. I don't think he even goes in the boardroom very often. He's always out. He wants to watch the game. He wants to be part of it. And away games particularly, you'll see him jumping up and down like a madman when he's on the sideline. It's amazing.
With that in mind, I wanted to speak to Steve about his journey since taking over the club.
I've been chairman of Slough Town Football Club for 11-12 years now. I was born in Slough, but I now live in Fleet. And I saw about 13 years ago that the club was struggling. And I had some spare time, so I thought I'd lend a hand. So I phoned someone up within the club and said, can I come along and I can perhaps help out. And as the story goes, they invited me onto the committee. And then when I was on the committee, after a few months, they said, would you like to be the chairman of the football club? Which I thought about and said, yeah, I'd be honoured to be the chairman of Slough Town Football Club. So I've been chairman now about 11 years. I'd been following them for a few months, and it looked to me as though things were getting very serious, to the point they'd perhaps go out of business or become extinct. If anything, it lacked a little bit of direction, and I just felt that I could perhaps help to introduce a few ideas that would raise a bit of money and get the club going again. The goals for me was to come up with some type of plan that we could all buy into. The basically, which everybody is trying, most clubs are trying to get to, is to become self-sustained and to play at a decent level. It's very difficult within football. You're always striving to be better. So you're always striving to win. You're always striving to get promoted. And promotion brings different problems, because when you get promoted, you need more money. And you can't instantly get more money unless you've got a wealthy benefactor. So I set up a financial plan, set up a little bit of direction for that season. And the main objective for that season actually was to avoid relegation. That was all. And to get some of these money-making schemes going, i.e. the 500 Club, I think we started pretty instantly, and over the years that's been quite successful in bringing in good money month on month. So the objectives of the first year really was to keep the club going and raise money, try and become self-sustainable, and to avoid relegation.
And that plan worked. Slough climbed up the leagues, and with the help of Steve, they were able to move into their new home, Arbour Park.
The entire process was long, drawn out, frustrating. One of the most horrific experiences I've ever gone through in my life. And if I'd known that, what it would have taken, I would never have done it. That's how horrific it was. Because working with the council has advantages and disadvantages. It's very difficult to get things to move within the council. At times it was difficult to get people to make decisions within the council. And I was on it, I thought I'd be on it for about 2.5 years, and I think the whole process probably took about 6 to 7 years. We had 2 full storms. I dread to think how much money was spent on it. We had 2 full storms where I'd been working on the project for 2 years. It looked as though it was going to happen, just for it to stop dead, and then we had to start again. And it was horrific.
What was it like finally moving it to here and having that first game?
Oh, that was absolutely amazing. That was one of the best experiences of my life, actually. Having worked on something, I was determined not to give up. With the full storms, at one point I did feel like giving up, because I thought it was just impossible. But I thought, no, I'm going to keep doing this until it's built. So then when it was built and it's here and it's and we can all experience it and enjoy it. It was absolutely fantastic. Not only for me, and it's not only me that's done all this, by the way, there's a whole raft of people below me, all volunteers, myself included, that have brought us to this point. So I'm not taking all the credit for it. I'm just the spearhead or the catalyst for it, if you want to put it that way. But when we moved in here, and the first game was a terrific game, and I think we won the game. I can't remember how many we had, 1,000 or 1,200 people. It was wonderful. And to be back in Slough, where we should be, was fantastic. And I knew at that point we should only grow from where we are now. And it's been marvellous. It's been absolutely marvellous.
And just under 2 years later, they made the Southern Premier League playoff final against Kings Lynn, with a place in the National League South at stake.
Well, last season was pretty unbelievable because I didn't think, with all the games we had in hand, I didn't think we could do it because we had to win so many of them just to make the fifth playoff place. I didn't think we could do it. I thought the team was capable of doing it, but within the short time scale to catch up with all the other teams, it's difficult. But we did it.
It's Blake Tracy who takes this kick long into the box. It's headed on by Gash, bounces around in the goal, across goal, heading at a far post, and Kings Lynn has scored, and it's the number 10 Toby Hilliard with the goal on 20.
Then even when we conceded, you thought we might still get back into it.
Yeah, we gradually played ourselves into the game, and I think, if I remember rightly, we got a goal just before half time.
Across this time. This one's floated to the back post. Slough rise up. It's an equaliser for Chris Floods on 43 minutes. It's a soft header, but he rises at the back.
Thought it was going to be a tall order for us to get the result. Yeah, I would have probably put them marginally as favourites, so I thought this is going to be really tough, and it was. But Manny, in the 87th minute or 88th minute, getting the winner was absolutely fantastic.
Right, with Norman out of position. Looks like he's going to play the ball in. Manny Williams gets a touch inside the box. He says he shoots! It's in! Manny Williams! Manny Williams! 89 minutes! Gives Slough the lead! It's 2-1! Manny Williams puts the ball in from about 10 yards. Chocolate in net! It's Slough with the goal! Oh, what a finish!
I think I can remember I ran around like a headless chicken for a while. Because it's just phenomenal. My mind just goes in those situations. My mind just went, and I couldn't stand still, and it was fantastic. And I seem to remember most of my family there, and I seem to remember I left them, and I think I did jump the fence, and I was on the pitch with the players. It was just incredible.